thank you so much for joining us on Business Today. We are back and we are talking about generative AI. Now, when you look at TikTok, YouTube, you usually see pictures which have been photoshopped, you can say that, and also backgrounds that make you just want to go into that space, blowing your mind off and saying, okay, I would want to be in such an area. And how does this usually happen? And today we are going to be talking about all this, and joining me is none other than Nelson Amenya. He is the head of marketing for EPV Circle in France, and we are going to be discussing and engaging about generative artificial intelligence. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
All right, let's jump into it and discuss about generative artificial intelligence, called generative AI. First of all, when you speak about generative AI, what do we exactly mean?
Well, before we speak about generative AI, it's important to understand AI, artificial intelligence, because this was before the advent of generative AI. And artificial intelligence, just a fun fact, it's called akili bandia in Swahili, and our Tanzanian brothers call it akili bandia, fake brain.
Okay.
Yes. So it's this one can already give you a clear indication of what artificial intelligence is.
Yes.
It's like your brain. It's like the human brain, but it's taught to think how it thinks and to generate whatever it generates through machine learning. And so generative AI is basically a set of algorithms that are capable of generating text, images and videos from nothing. And we have seen this. Photoshop has introduced its own generative AI in Photoshop, and it's mind-blowing even to designers. Myself, I'm a designer, and when I was watching a few videos how designers are using the Photoshop AI, it's absolutely mind-blowing. As in right now, you cannot even you cannot believe a photo that you see online, because just by entering a prompt on Photoshop AI, you can completely change the picture. Right now, I don't need to be a graphic designer to use Photoshop. Anyone can use Photoshop at the moment, and you can do things that you would only imagine of. It's absolutely crazy. Yeah.
All right. So simply, it's basically the small things that we usually see that that really we might not even give attention to, but they are those small things that really mean generative AI.
Yes. So generative AI is, for example, ChatGPT is an example of a generative AI, text generative AI. There's DALL-E, which is an image generative AI, and then there's Gato, which is video. I'm sure you've seen even our own deputy president. Some people went and generated an image of him looking, like a hip hop artist. Okay. That's generative AI.
Yes.
And even there is a time some guys generated a video showing the former president of USA, Trump, being arrested. It was all fake. So generative AI is crazy, and it's even more interesting to understand how it will revolutionize our own businesses. And I know the topic is a bit intimidating at first, but once you understand it, you can see it in your daily life. The emails we send, for example, my friends who are in marketing at the moment, they're using generative AI software to send emails. And in the past, you would just blast an email to 1,000 people, or blast SMS to 10,000, for example, if you're in marketing, and indiscriminately. At the moment, it's possible to send an email to individual people, and the artificial intelligence will know when you will open your phone. And they will it will send the SMS at that moment. For example, they know at 6 a.m. every morning, I open my phone. So they will serve you the ad or whatever the marketing campaign is about to that person. Maybe if it's an online app and they know at 5 p.m. you leave office at 5 p.m. every day, and perhaps you pass by your local supermarket. So at 5 p.m., it will just schedule and send you the email to go and buy your groceries. as in it's embedded in our day-to-day lives. And those people who will embrace it and use it now will increase their productivity. There's researches that have been done by Boston Consulting, McKinsey and Company, showing that by 2025, 30% of all AI will be generative AI. Yeah, and even in small businesses, you can apply it. It can save you productivity. There's a company in India. They fired 90% of its staff. It was all over the news, and the CEO was saying when they employed chatbots to talk to the customers, they used to reply faster than the actual customer care representatives. So there was no need of having the customer care representatives. So they fired 90% of the staff.
Wow.
Yeah.
So before you continue, let me just take you back. For example, what is the importance of, let me say, a person who is at home looking at this and wondering, okay, so how does this impact me? Why should I know of this? How is it going to add to the tech industry going forward? What are some of the innovations that can come from this? And also, how can young people be able to use this? First of all, let us look at even there, before we even get to the young people using this, let us look at the importance of understanding generative AI.
I think what I can say about that is when social media began, when Facebook began, even when the internet began in the late 1998, the
Yes.
90s, the people who embraced it at that moment, like Jeff Bezos, look at how far they've come. Even Elon Musk, he began PayPal in the 90s, and right now PayPal is the biggest payment mode on the internet. So I would tell anyone watching right now at home that this is the moment to learn about generative AI, because it's the future. There are so many studies that have shown that this is the future. AI and machines, they will take over jobs. They are more productive, they are efficient, they're accurate. Well, there are some ethical issues to do with generative AI. But even at that time, when social media was beginning and the internet, obviously there's always policy issues, ethical concerns about the new technology. It's always there because it's something that is evolving. But at this moment, it's good to begin to experiment so that when it's fully developed, you're in it, you're not trying to fit in. Like recently we were talking about how Twitter used to be so powerful. Right now it's going a bit, it's not so powerful anymore.
Yes.
There's a time it used to be the thing,
Yes.
Twitter. Yeah, so if you are not in that, and now is when you want to join Twitter, you will not reap the benefits.
Yes.
You will only reap the benefits when you go in without thinking about the risks, the ethical concerns about it. It's more of an experimental stage. Even for people with small businesses, you can really use it for your strategy, for your plans, not really to predict the future, but you can use it as a data analytics tool so that you can analyze your past. You can take your data and see where you made mistakes. It's very good, it's accurate and efficient, so
Yes.
it will give you a clear picture of what you need to change in your business, and it's accurate without the need to employ an army of data scientists who are, it's a rare talent, data science. So generative AI gives that power to you to be a data scientist.
All right. Yeah. And also, let's look at the innovations, because with such, of course, we have artificial intelligence, and now we have generative artificial intelligence.
Yes.
Now, with new things, of course, comes innovations that people would want to bring in. When you look at the innovations in this space, what are we looking at in terms of making it even better, according to you? What do you think?
Well, first of all, I saw some news about borrowing.
Yes, the borrowing.
Yeah, so when I was watching the news, I was thinking about Israel and Tel Aviv, how, Israel is known as the startup capital of the world at the moment, and they have the highest startup per capita. They have 8.4 startups per 1 million. It's the highest, and you can imagine how Israel is such a small country, and it's leading. Actually, they say it's a tech miracle because Israel is very far from the market. It's surrounded by conflict. So who would want to go and invest in Tel Aviv or in Israel? But because the government gave the right environment for startups to go there and begin, the environment was correct. So the economy right now, the tech economy is supporting 15% of Israel's GDP. Yeah, so it's a challenge to even our governance system, the government, to enable young people to have an environment to innovate, because this can solve our problems economic-wise, and they can generate a lot of income in terms of GDP. Like Israel is now at 15% of the GDP is from the tech industry and the startup world. It's the biggest, and we are not very far. We are becoming slowly a tech hub in Africa, but Nigeria is ahead of us, Egypt, South Africa, because of the environment. Yeah, things like electricity, taxes, incentives. If the government can look at this, then our innovation, we have very brilliant minds in Kenya who are very techy. But because of a lot of constraints in our governance, it's not easy to innovate. But if we are given that space, I think things will really change, and it will translate to the GDP will go up, and we will, of course, lessen our borrowing. And I was watching Elon Musk. He was saying that he's foreseeing in future that the labor market will not have people. It will be machines and AI. And he was saying, you know, when you're using machines, they're more accurate, they're productive, and the cost of production is low, which means that the people are left with more time. You have more time to innovate. You have more time for leisure, to be with your family. There is a lot of work-life balance when you implement. So if there is a good atmosphere for startups to innovate, then it will be, the ripple effect will be very big even in the economy. Yeah.
All right. Let's move to another issue and look at this has been embraced in developed countries. For example, let's say in years to come, this has been embraced. Now we have the machines working. And then now we come to the developing economies, mostly in Africa, and looking at how they are going to be transacting with the outside world. Especially, for example, in the US, in the European countries, for example, if they've embraced this fully, and now we are still in the steps of embracing it in future, what can happen when it comes to trade, when it comes to investors coming to Africa? What do you think can happen when we have machines working and also human beings working on this other side?
I think it will be inevitable for Africa to follow suit. It will not be possible for Africa to be left behind. And right now, the focus is in Africa. The American dream is now the African dream. All the big people from Europe, from wherever, they want to come to Africa. Africa is where it's happening. So I don't think that we will be left behind. Yeah, we will move with the new technologies. There is a lot of green technologies being applied in Africa. Myself, I am also involved in a project of decarbonization, and we are trying to use AI. And we have partners in France, and we want to do it in Morocco. So I think Africa will go hand in hand with the West. I know they are a bit ahead of us, but we will catch up. And for example, many people are also repatriating to Africa to bring these skills. Yeah.
And on that point of them being ahead, of course they are ahead.
Yes.
And catching up is not really easy. So how will that happen? Because you find that artificial intelligence is really, really popular on the outside world, on the already developed world, and as many of the countries in the developing world are still catching up to that. So, you saying hand in hand, it might mean for some of us we need to really, really, really be very, very. We need to be champions in this.
Yes,
so what needs to happen? For example, in Kenya, because we are the tech hub, in East Africa, we are the tech hub, really. So what can be done in order for us to be hand in hand with the developed world?
One of the things that can really help is to, for the governance, the policy makers, to make friendly policies that will enable the tech innovation in Nairobi. The policies are everything. If the policies are friendly, the investors will come. If the investors come, then the technology will spread. That's number one. Number two, we also need to have schools that teach generative AI and artificial intelligence. Some schools have already started, but it needs to be something that is done more to embrace AI. At the moment, I'm studying in Paris, in HSC Paris, and the specialization I want to do is it's data and AI in business. If this one can be replicated in our local institutions, it can help for the future generations to have this kind of knowledge to implement it. Yeah, so school is very important, and policy from government to create an enabling environment, and also the companies, the big companies, big data like Microsoft, like Google, the big data companies, they have already hubs in Nairobi. So this one will act as an enabler for startups. When you work in Microsoft or Google or Apple, and then you come from that big organization and come into a startup and pump in the knowledge, then you will be able to, our intake of the generative AI will go hand in hand. Yeah.
All right, and also even as we come to the end, let me ask, for example, a youth in the remote areas, in the village, trying to compete with people in already developed towns like Nairobi, Nakuru, urban cities. How do we make sure that the person in the rural area or the place that is not really developed like Nairobi or the other towns can also get into this groove of, you know, AI, artificial intelligence, innovations in generative AI?
It's very easy. You will find social media has penetrated to the farthest ends.
Yes.
You will find someone in the very, very interior village with a Facebook account, Instagram account. Even now you're seeing celebrities who in the past we would never have seen, like, you know, the singer of Kabebe Kazoze.
Yes.
All the way from Nyandarua. Yeah, what I'm trying to say is that information is readily available, and because of the internet and social media, it's so easy for anyone to learn anything they want. Right now, if you want to learn about AI or generative AI, you just go online, you start to do your research, a bit of research. You can even go to ChatGPT itself and you
get information
from ChatGPT. So it's maybe what needs to be done is to create a culture of research and development in our society, so that people are not lazy to go and look for information. Yeah, but you can really be a self-made or self-taught AI expert in this age. You don't need to go to Harvard or a big school to learn about AI.
Yes.
It's all available on the internet.
All right. Thank you so much, Nelson, for joining us on Business Today. All right, we've been discussing about generative artificial intelligence and how it's easing the operations in business and also other sectors. All right, we've come to the end of Business Today. My name is Kelvin Nyakundi. Stick around. Mbiu ya KTN is coming up next.